Hello friends, welcome back to Digitalk. In this third session of Jenkins and WebLogic, I am going to explain how to deploy a war file in your WebLogic using the Jenkins, okay, and specifically by following the complete automation. Complete automation in the sense we are going to have a code that we are going to check into our GitHub repository. Okay, and once the code is checked into the GitHub repository, then it will automatically check out by your Jenkins pipeline. Okay, it will automatically build the code, it will test the code, and then after that it will going to deploy to your WebLogic. Okay, in the previous session we have just learned a simple calling a script directly from the Jenkins pipeline, and then we can and deploying the application in the WebLogic. So here we are going to cover the code part as well, okay, with the help of GitHub. But before that one, I would like to explain you the basic concepts of that before I show you the execution, because it is very important to understand the concept first before you go for the execution. Otherwise, I can give you the step-by-step action plan and you can follow that and you can execute that. But if you are not clear on the concepts, okay, then there is no use of that one, right? So let me first explain you what exactly we are going to follow here, and what are the different tools that are involved here, and what exactly we have to learn about that one. Specifically, if you are a beginner, okay, in the DevOps and Jenkins and this kind of a deployment, okay, then you should understand what all are the tools are involved, what exactly you have to learn, what kind of a component and functionalities that we get from a specific component. So that I will first explain you quickly, okay, and then we'll jump into the execution. Okay, so when we talk about the DevOps and automation, okay, Jenkins is an DevOps tool, or you can say an automation tool that we use for multiple purpose. Okay, now specifically when we talk about the DevOps, okay, so what exactly is the DevOps? DevOps is a combination of development plus operations. Okay, that means we are combining the development stuff with the operations to increase the overall efficiency and to for the faster deployment of your code in the production. Okay, so what does it mean? Traditionally, what we do, we develop the code. There are developers who is developing the code, right? So once the code is developed, then it gets checked into a central repository. From there, your testing team download the code and perform the testing. Once the testing is completed, then from testing environment it can go to some other quality environment. From quality it can go to the pre-prod, and then from it go to the prod. There are multiple manual steps are involved here. Specifically, when we develop the code, then we check in the code, then your testing team is fetching the code, then performing the manual testings, then again this code is going transfer to your other quality environment team. From there you do the deployment in the pre-production, then you go for the deployment in the production. It's a manual and very lengthy time consuming process. There are multiple lot of efforts are involved in this one, right? So what we do exactly with the help of DevOps here, we uh, overall, you can say we increase the efficiency of overall this particular process by automation. So whatever the steps that have been involved here, we do the complete end-to-end automation of all these steps, so that your code can reach to the production from development quickly, right, without any kind of a manual intervention. So now what happened specifically when we talk about the automation and CI/CD. CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Very simple word. So hope you are clear on the development. So we are doing the development of the applications, and then OPS means operations. So there are multiple phases between development and then operations when it is in production. So this is the development and operations. CI/CD is continuous integration, continuous deployment. That means when we do the development of the code, okay, it's not possible that you are developing the code perfectly in the first go. There are multiple iterations of a code that need to be executed. Then every iteration need to be tested if it is correct or not, right? And even your production, the development, you get a lot of updates, enhancement, bug fixes, and for that you need to continuously develop your code. You need to fix your code. After fixing code, you need to do the testing, right? So testing could be very small, but even for a small testing you have to follow the complete process for the testing, correct? So with the help of continuous integration and continuous deployment, we do the complete automation of such kind of activities as well. As soon as the code has been developed and checked into a central repository, okay, then continuous integration and continuous deployment along with the testing will be executed automatically, right? Because Today in the enterprise world, we have a multiple integrations with our applications. So that means once a code has been checked into a central repository, so this code may have a dependency of the multiple integrations, and each integration need to be tested. So now think that if you are doing a small change in your code, okay, even for that one, you have to test all the integrations, even for a small changes. And if you are doing changes frequently, then you can see how time consuming it is, how frustrating it is, right? So with the help of continuous integration and continuous deployment, when a developer change any code and send it to the central repository, now from central repository, there is an automation that kick off, which automatically take care of the continuous integration. That means continuous integration of the applications with the other modules, okay, and then performing the multiple integration test and some other test also sanity testing and integration, and then there are a lot of different kind of testing, right? And so once all pass successfully, then it automatically deploy the code to your production or pre-production as you have configured. So this is a simple concept of DevOps, CI and CD. Now what we are doing here when we talk about the deployment of your code or war file with the help of Jenkins, okay, so we are taking the benefit of all this automation. Okay, how we are taking? For example, you have the code where your developer is working. Okay, so when the code is ready, it is going to push in the central location. For example, we are going to use the GitHub, okay, which is the repository for your code. So now the code has been pushed to your GitHub repository. So whenever the developer do any changes in the code, okay, the developer push the code in the GitHub, right? And now suppose that this is my WebLogic where I need to deploy the code. And from where I am doing the deployment, I am doing the deployment from the Jenkins, right? And where is my code? My code is in GitHub. So if my Jenkins is doing the deployment to the WebLogic, it has to fetch the code from the GitHub, right? Because my code is in GitHub, right? So now what is happening here? Your developer is sending the code to your from local machine to the GitHub, which is a central code repository. Once code reach here, your Jenkins pull the code from here. It automatically build the code. After build, it automatically initiate the test as you configured in the pipelines. Okay, so this you have to define manually in the Java, or you have to pipeline scripts. Build, test, and once the build and test is completed, okay, create code file. For example, create var file. Once it is created, then you can deploy this var file, and where you deploy in the WebLogic, right? So this is the end-to-end flow. Now this part is of developer who is developing the code in your organization, right? So once developer has sent the code to GitHub, so now as an admin, you may have some different kind of responsibilities. You may be managing the WebLogic. You may also be managing the Jenkins. Okay. Third, GitHub you may also managing, or you may have a separate administrator for that one. Okay. So because all these are a separate tools, GitHub is a separate tool, Jenkins is a separate tool, and WebLogic is an application server. So if you would like to work on all these three, okay, then definitely you need to learn the GitHub, you need to learn the Jenkins, and then definitely you need to learn the WebLogic. Okay, and specifically if you are in a support, and then you really don't need to be an expert of Jenkins and expert of GitHub, but at least you need some basic information how the code is pushed to the GitHub, then how the Jenkins pull this code from the GitHub, right? And there is a small idea of the script, how we write the pipeline script in the Jenkins, which automatically build, test, create the var file and deploy it to the WebLogic. Right, so hope you got an understanding what exactly you need to learn here, how the code is pushed to the GitHub repository. So for that you need a basic understanding of GitHub, then you need a basic understanding of Jenkins, how to write the pipelines, how to do the different kind of configurations. Okay, and then definitely you need the overview of WebLogic. So now in this particular session what we are going to learn, I have a particular code with me, okay, and even I will tell you how to generate a testing code. If you are working on your demo environment, you need the testing code. So I will give you a command, okay, and with the help of Maven, you can generate your own testing code anytime. Work, okay, for example, the var file. So this code, the testing code that I will show you, you can push to GitHub. And I will give you the overview of GitHub as well, how you can sign up to GitHub, and then how you can create your public repository, and how you send, or you can say how you push the code from your development environment, or you can say from your local machine to GitHub. Okay, then in the Jenkins, I will tell you how to define a pipeline. Even this we have covered in the previous session, where we have configured a job and then we have configured a pipeline. So process is same. The only difference is that here the script will be enhanced to build the code, to test the code, and to create the var file, and then go for the deployment. Right, in the previous session we haven't done the build and test and create, we just deployed an existing var file from the server. Correct. So I will give you an overview of this Jenkins as well. Okay, and then we'll see how the code is deployed, and specifically in the cluster. So I have got a few queries from the user that in the previous session I have shown that how to deploy directly application to the admin server. We have deployed to admin server, right? So now if you would like to deploy it in the cluster, okay, then how we can deploy it in the cluster? So I am going to show you this example where we will deploy the application directly to the cluster of 2 node managed servers. Correct. Now only last thing, as I said, your Jenkins fetch the code from the GitHub, right? So you have two options. Either you can configure a polling. Polling in the sense, as soon as a new code pushed to your GitHub, your Jenkins automatically pull this code. It will trigger the latest code, automatically start the build test, and then it will automatically going for the deployment. Second option, if you don't want to enable this polling, okay, you want to go for a manual by ensuring certain kind of a checks in place. So once the code is pushed into your GitHub, after that you can manually run the build from the Jenkins console. Here two options. So first I am going to show you how you can initiate the manual job pipeline from the Jenkins console, and in next session I am going to show you how you can enable the polling so that it can automatically pull the code. You just need a developer who is going to push the code to a central repository, and then there is no manual intervention, nothing is required in between. If the process is set in between, as soon as the code is deployed to your GitHub, after some time you will see the code, new code is available in the WebLogic. After checkout from the repository, building, testing, create var file, deploying, everything will be taken care by manually. Okay, so now hope I have cleared you the DevOps, I have cleared you the CI/CD, and then I have cleared you on the complete end-to-end automation flow, how we actually configured your Jenkins with the WebLogic by integrating with the code. Okay, so now let's jump up in the code, or you can say the action plan that we are going to follow exactly in this lab. So some of the configurations we have already done in the previous lab, like we have already configured the installation of the Jenkins, and then we have installed the JDK along with that one. Okay, so that I will skip, and then I will show you from onwards after that. Okay, what are the action plan that you need to follow and how you can configure. So now first what you need to install the Git client, okay, and then your Maven for to build the code, and Java we have already installed. Okay, so I am going to skip this one because we have Java already installed in the previous first session where we have installed the Jenkins. Okay, so you can skip this one just to avoid any kind of a repetitive things or confusion. So you can just run this command update -y, and then here you can this will update your system. Okay, this was also we have covered in the previous session, first session, to update the system with the latest packages. Let's remove this one. Right, so now this is the command for installation of Maven and Git. Once it is done, you can run the command to check the versions, right? So this is the Git client which we use to connect to our GitHub repository from our machines, and Maven we use for building the code and for the compilation and building, complete end-to-end building, right? So this is a command that you can directly run on your machine. So it is already configured in my machine. Okay, so let me run it again. So what exactly it is going to show you in that case. So let me run it. Okay, because it is already installed in my system, so it will show you that it is up to date, something like that one. Okay, so okay, it is going to update the latest JDK and Maven. Okay, so now what happened is then I have already installed it in my machine, so it has updated it with the latest version. So this is a command that you need to run first to install the Maven and Git in your system. This is the first part, right? Second, you have to install Java, Jenkins, and plugins. Okay, so that means you need to enable certain kind of a plugins in your Jenkins. Okay, after this one, because what we have explained that your Jenkins contact with your GitHub to automatically fetch the code, right, and then it contact the WebLogic. So it is a kind of a integration. Your Jenkins is getting integrated with the GitHub. It is going to integrate with the Maven as well for the automatically building the code, right, and for testing as well. The right contact of WebLogic. So for all these kind of integrations, we use the plugins, which is also called the connectors. So Jenkins is completely based on the plugins, right? Because it is an independent product which can be used for the automation with the multiple products, and how it communicate with the different multiple products. It is with the help of plugins, right? So here what we are doing, because we are going to fetch the code from Git, so you need to enable the Git plugin. You need to enable the pipeline plugin. You need to enable the GitHub plugin. Okay, and then you need to enable the Maven integration plugin, right? So for that, you just need to go to the console, and then you can go to the your connector, or you can plugin sections, and from there you can install it. Some of the plugin may be already installed in your system by default when you have configured the Jenkins, but some of them you may need to install. Okay, and along with that, in the manage Jenkins tool configuration, you have to update the JDK path. Okay, your JDK which you have installed in your system. Okay, and then you need to configure the Maven path as well, because we are going to use a Maven for the end-to-end building of our code, and then this is the path for JDK. So this is the first thing that you need to perform. Okay, so let me show you this as well. So this is our Jenkins dashboard. So here this is an option called manage Jenkins. Okay, so you can go to the manage Jenkins. Okay, and here you have to configure your initial plugins. So here you can scroll, and here you will see an option called plugins. So click on the plugins, and inside that plugin you will get the option. It will show you all the listed currently installed plugins, and what all the plugins that are available for you. Okay, if you want to install some new plugin, you can select for that, and then you can install that. So now here you can see that you have option called available plugins, and then you have installed plugins. Okay, so available plugins show you whatever the plugins available in your system, and with the help of installed plugin option, you can install the same new plugins that is required for your integrations. So these are the available plugins in our system. Okay, so let me see. We need the pipeline, GitHub, and Maven integrations. Okay, so you can just search it here, Git. Okay, and then you can search for GitHub. You can see there are different kind of plugins are available here. GitHub pipeline for Blue Ocean, and then some more plugins are there. Okay, so whatever the plugin that you need to just search it here. Okay, and then apart from that, you have the pipeline. So pipeline plugin may automatically installed initially. Okay, and then just search for pipeline. Okay, and see these are the pipeline plugins that is already inbuilt. Okay, and similarly you can look for the some Maven plugin as well. So you can search for the Maven as well. Okay, you can see Maven integration plugins also installed there. So you don't need to install anything. If it is missing, maybe during the installation it is not configured automatically, then you can go to installed plugin, and here you can search for the plugin, and then you can just click on the install. So here you can see there are different list of plugins, right? And if you would like to install any of the plugin, then you just need to search it here. Okay, it is enabled, and similarly you can see there are a long list of plugins are available here. You can just click on that particular plugin. Okay, and then you can install. So there is a long list of plugins because there are multiple n number of products are available in the market, right, for multiple kind of development integrations. So based on what exactly you are using, for example, maybe you are using the Docker, you may be using the Kubernetes. Okay, so you just need to search for that particular plugin, and then you can install it from here. So this is the first option. Okay, how you configure, enable the different kind of a plugins, right? Now let's again go back to the manage Jenkins option. Now here you have to go inside the manage Jenkins and this tools option. So what exactly you need to do inside the tool? You just need to update these two parameters for JDK and the Maven path. So this is the Maven. When you install the Maven, this is the location of the Maven in your system. Okay, which you can check it from here. You can do the listing here. Oops, let me change it. It is LS. Right, this is the location. And similarly, you may have a JDK location in your system. You can take the JDK location and which you can update from this location. So this is the tools location. So here you can see this is the JDK location. You can click on this one and you can specify the location for your JDK. Okay, so this is a location in my system. So let me show you. Okay, so this is the location of the JDK here in my system. So same location is specified here. Okay, and along with that one, as I said, you can install the Maven location as well, right? So you can enable the Maven and you can give the name. So make sure to give whatever the name that you are giving here, we write it in the script as Java pipeline script as well. So here we have given the name as M3 and JDK 11. Okay, you have to make sure to note down these names, what you are defining here inside the settings. For Maven, we have given the M3 and for JDK, we have given the JDK 11, correct? So this is the second thing after the installation of your Maven and Git and Jenkins we have already installed in the session 1. Follow the same process, right? So we have configured the plugins. After that you need an application, right? You need a code. So as I said, this code part is of a developer part. Okay, but I am going to show you if you need this for your testing purpose and anytime you need to generate your own code. Okay, this is a very simple process which you can follow to generate with the help of this Maven command. So now because we have Maven already installed here, so to create a testing project is very simple. You have to create a directory for the project. You have to run this Maven command and here you have to give a name for your project. Okay, this will be the name of your project. Okay, and com.com, this will be a structure of your project that is going to be created inside this my web app. So once you run this one, it will run the Maven and it will automatically create a project for you. So once the project is created, you have to go inside the project. Then you need to create certain project file according to this path that I have specified here. This is a hello servlet Java file. This is a main index file. Okay, for the var file, this is your web.xml file. This is your a testing file, basic Java testing file, which is going to be executed during the execution. And this is a pom.xml file, which is a main XML file for your application. Okay, and where we do define certain kind of a configurations. So you don't need to go into what exactly is it, because for that you need a proficient developers, right? So even you're not aware about that one, I'm just explaining you how to generate a code, okay, which you can utilize for your demo and testing purpose, right? Because if you are learning and everything you are executing on your demo environment, then you are not going to get a separate developer for that who is going to develop a code for you, right? So you need to do everything by your own. So this is going to help you in that case. Okay, so let me show you with the quick execution as well how to generate that one. Okay, so let me go to base directory and let me create a project here, directory project 1. Okay, and then let me go inside the project 1. So now what I'm going to do, first I am going to create this directory, okay, which will be my project directory. So this is the directory that I have created, and then this is a command that I have added to it, cd web ci. So now I am inside the same directory which I have created, right? So now here we need to execute this particular Maven command to generate our initial code or the structure. Okay, so it will take some time. It will connect to the repositories. After that you will see the build is success, and after that if you do the listing here, you can see my web app is created, right? If you go inside and do the listing, you can see the pom file is created and src folder is created. This src folder is specifically related with the source code that we build in the application, right? Now you have to go inside the my web app. So now I am inside the my web app, right? And then we need to generate certain files for our code. Okay, so let me quickly show you this as well. And why I am showing you, because maybe you are going to execute everything on your own system, so you should get the idea. Okay, and you can ask me for, you can send me an email for this code file, this complete action plan I will share with you, and let me show you the direct email. So you can write to us at digitalk.fmw@gmail.com for any kind of a question, query, doubt, or if you need this action plan, I will share with you. Correct. So now I have let me quickly come out from here because I may not have this directory. So what I will do first, I will create this directory if it is not there. Okay, and then I am going to create this file. Okay, hold on, I have done a mistake. Okay, let me delete this one. Okay, and then again I am going to create this directory Okay, now I am going to create this code file. So I will take this one. This is the main servlet file, right? And here I just need to copy paste this particular content of my file. I will take it from here, and then I am going to paste it here. Okay, this file is done. Now second is you have to create the index file. So before that one, let me see if this folder is there or not. Otherwise I will create it recursively. -p to create the directory recursively, right? And now I will take this content of index.xml file and I am going to paste it here in the dot, and then I'm going to paste it here. Let me save and exit. Correct. Index file is created. So now again I'm going to create the web.xml file. So let me again first create this directory. Okay, so whatever I'm showing you as of now, this is a completely purely a developer step, right, to develop the code. There is a specific directory structure for each and every file that we have in the code. Okay, and for this one, this file is already there, so I am going to update this section with this particular. Okay, this is done. So let me save and exit. So this is also created. Now again I need to create a testing file. Okay, so when we do the automation, we need the automation like where the building and testing done automatically. So we need a multiple tools or multiple code. Okay, and the business cases, business logical cases for testing. So what exactly you need to test according to your application, what you have developed, right? So that is a custom part that your developers take care how to develop the different kind of a code specifically for the testing once the application is built up. Correct. So now here I am going to create this basic test.java application, and here I am going to copy paste this testing code. This is done, and let me save it. Okay, so last we have to update this pom.xml file to include this particular entry. Okay, so for that I have, this is the pom.xml file with the required details. So this we can directly copy paste inside the pom.xml file. So let me go there and let him remove all these things and insert this content. Okay, so now our code is ready. We have created the project with the help of this particular maven command. Then we have created the code files inside this particular project. Okay, and now you need to build it, right? So to build, we have a command ambient clean package. So clean, that means it is automatically going to clean if anything is there already, and then it is going to build your project. If all good, then it will going to create a var file for you. Okay, so now you can say build is successful, and this is a var file that has been created, and location is inside the same project file, and then there will be a folder called target, and if you go inside the target, you can say this var file is created. That means your var file is up and ready, right? So this is the way how we generate the var file. Okay, but here we exactly not really needed this var file, because this var file is going to be generated automatically, because you are going to change your code and the code is going to push to GitHub. So when your Jenkins is going to push the pull the latest code, it is automatically going to build the var file. So this I just show you how to build a var file for testing purpose for you, right? So that means our code is ready. Now you need to push this code to the GitHub, right? So now for that you need an account in your GitHub. That is clear, right? So for that you can go to the GitHub, and once you go to the GitHub, you just need to sign up. So just provide your valid email ID. Okay, and then you can do a sign up. So once you sign up is done, your account is ready, and then once you log into the console, you can click on the account name, and here you have the option your repositories, right? So click on your repositories. Okay, so inside the your repository you will see all the repositories. So we have two kind of a repository, public and private. So if you create a public repository, that is available for anyone. If you create a private repository, that is specifically to you, no one can access that particular repository. To create a public repository, click on new. Okay, and here you have to specify a name for your repository. Okay, for example, let me give demo repo. Okay, and this is going to be a public repository. Anyone can access this one. Click on create. Okay, so now this is a public repository. It is created for you. Anyone can access this repository, and this is the URL of your repository. And when we access this repository with the help of code, then we specify that .git git at the end of this particular URL. Right. So we have created a repository in the public repository in the GitHub. Right. So now what we need, the code that we have generated, this code we are going to push in this particular repository. So as of now, you can see it is completely blank. Okay, and once you click on this one, it will again going to show you what are the different commands that you can run to push the code to this particular repository. And this is same command that I am going to use. Okay, so now to push the code, this is a command, and there is specific meaning of that command. So as I said initially, you have to learn these tools like GitHub, Jenkins, at least the basic functionalities of these tools. And specifically when we talk about GitHub, then how we use a Git client to push the code to the central repository. For that, there is specific syntax and commands are there. For example, these are the basic commands. The first sequential command that you run, git init. So this is going to initialize your git in the code repository. Then git add dot. Okay, then git commit -m, and then you can give any comment here. Then you need to add the git repository where exactly you need to push the code here with the help of this particular command. Okay, and then you have to set the branch, because there is a different kind of a branch in the git. So we when you work with the main branch, with the head root branch, we have to give the main, and then you have to run the push command. This is going to push your code in the git repository. So this is the basic commands that you need to run, okay, to push your code to the git repository from your git client, or you can say from your server to the centralized git client. Right. So now let me show you this as well. So as of now, I am inside the target. So let me go back to my main project directory, my web app. So here first we need to initialize the git. So for that you need to give this command git init. Okay, you can see the git is initialized. Okay, and this is an empty repository. Initially there is nothing inside this repository. Now you have to run the command git add and dot. Correct, it is done. Then you need to run the commit so that your code can go to your local git repository. Okay, and now here you are seeing that it is saying that the global config username and your email is not there. That means when you are going to initialize your git repository, which is going to contact your central repository, cloud repository, you need to specify your git username and email ID here first, and you have to specify with the help of this command. So this is my email ID. You can replace it with your email ID, whatever the email ID that you have. Okay, you use for signing for the GitHub portal. Then here you can take the username and specify the username here. Okay, so this is your email ID that you have used to sign up to the GitHub portal. And what is this username? This username you can get from the portal here only. So once you log into your GitHub, click on this one, and here you will see your username. Take this username and replace it here. So once these two commands are executed, right, after that you can run the git commit command to add a comment. Now you can see the source code has been modified, or it is added in your local git repository. So now your git is aware about this particular code. So, okay, so as of now this code is initialized in your local git repository in your this particular system where I am working. Okay, now you have to set the branch, main branch, and then you need to run this particular command to push the code. Okay, let me see. Okay, so now it is saying that the origin is not exist. That means what I am doing the origin to this particular URL. However, when I check my URL, it is completely different, right? So I'm using the wrong URL here for the origin. So I have to replace it. And as I said, at last you have to add the .git. So let me replace this one. Okay, and now let me run the push command again. Okay, so now see, it is asking for the username for your GitHub account. Okay, and then it will ask for the password. Now there is a one catch here. The username, do not specify your email ID. For that, you have to specify this particular ID, username ID, which you have received from the GitHub console from here. Okay. Now the important thing, when you enter, it will ask you for the password. So this is not your GitHub portal password which you have used for the sign up. Okay. So now in the latest Git repositories, the signing up or with the help of password is completely disabled. You can't use that password. So for that, you need to generate a token from the GitHub repository. So that means you need a token here for the login. And how to generate that token, let me show you. Go to your GitHub repository, and now we are inside our repository that we have created. Let me show you again. Go to your repositories. It will list all your repositories. So this is my public repository that I have created. Click on the setting option. Okay. Sorry, we are going to create a global token access, right? So for that, you just need to click on your username and go to the settings. Once you setting inside the settings, scroll down, you will see the developer settings. Click on developer settings. Here, drop personal access tokens and click on token classics. And then click on generate new token and then generate new token classic. So here you can give any name. So let me give a demo token. Okay, you can select the validity of this particular token, whatever you want according to your requirement, and then allow the repository access. Okay, so that this particular authentication can allow the access to the repositories. Apart from that, there are multiple options you would like to allow for the workflows, writing, deleting of the packages, admin key. There are a lot of privileges that you can configure here. But specifically to work with the repo, you have to assign this first, which is the repo. It is done. So click on generate token. Okay, and let me see what is saying. Note has already been taken. Okay, so let me give demo token 1. Generate token. Okay, now you can see the token has been generated, and this is the token which you need to copy. So you have to make sure to copy it and save it in a secure place, because next time you will not able to see this token password. Okay, so take it and you have to save it somewhere. Let me save it here. So this is the token password that you need to specify to push your code to the repository here. Okay, now you can see your code has been pushed to a central repository. So what we have done for the username, we have given our username which we have got from the console. Okay, and for the password, we have generated the access token, classic access token for pushing the code for authentication. Now, if I go to my GitHub repository here, and let me go to my repository and let me see if the code is there or not. So this was the repository that I have created. Now you can see the code that I have in my system. It is now available inside my GitHub repository. So now my code is there in the GitHub repository. Now the next work is about the Jenkins to pull this code, build this code, test this code, and then deploy it to the WebLogic server. Right. So this is the WebLogic server as of now in my case. So let me show you login with that. Here you can say this is the environment where I have 2 servers are running in the cluster, demo server 1, demo server 2, and there is no deployment as of now. It is completely blank. Correct. So now what we have done, we have pushed the code, right? So now this is the option to auto detecting the code, which I am going to cover in the next session, where your Jenkins will automatically check for the repository. If the latest code is available, then it is automatically initiate the build, which will cover in the next session. Now after that, we have to add 2 files, Jenkins file and deploy file locally. And now what is the meaning of that one? Okay, so this deploy.py file, this is the file that we are going to use for the deployment, and this is the same file which we have seen in the previous session as well, where we have deployed a simple pre-existing file using the help of Jenkins. Correct. So this is the same code which we have seen in the previous session as well. The only difference is there. Now we want to deploy this code to the cluster, not to the admin server. Correct. So what we need to do here, instead of defining the admin server, here for target, we are going to define the cluster. So the value that this target option will get in the deploy command, this is going to get the cluster name. So let me show you. If I go to the console, so here you can see the cluster name is demo cluster. Okay, so the argument that we are going to pass for the deployment in this particular py file, which will be called with the help of WLST, Okay, here target we are going to give as a cluster name, which is a demo cluster. Okay, so by this one your code is going to deploy to your cluster. Correct. Now this is our deploy.py file that we need to create. Okay, so what we need to do, you just need to go to your uh, base location of the project. Here you can just click on the deploy.py file. Okay, and you can just take this code and now you can copy paste it here and save and exit. Correct. So now this is the first thing. Second, we need to create a Jenkins file. This is the important file, configuration file. Sorry. Okay, this is the important configuration file for the Jenkins pipeline. So in the previous session, what we have seen, we have created a pipeline from the console, and in that pipeline we have copy pasted the complete Jenkins code. So here we are not going to do the same method. We are not going to copy paste that in the Jenkins pipeline. We are going to create a Jenkins file. Okay, the name of the file should be Jenkins file, and in this Jenkins file we are going to copy paste complete our pipeline code. Okay, so let me first copy paste it and create this file, and then I will explain you what is the meaning of this file. So vi, and then let me take the Jenkins file name. Okay, and then here I am going to copy paste my complete pipeline. This is the pipeline code. Okay, this is done. Save and exit. So we have created two files, deploy.py and jenkins.file, inside our code folder. So now that means we have updated our code. So our code is updated. So that means we again need to push this particular code to our central repository so that it can be reflected here as well. It should go to the central repository as well, right? So that we'll do that one. Okay, but before that, let me explain you what we have in the pipeline. So it is again almost same what we have seen the pipeline in the previous session. Okay, these are the environment variables that we are passing for the deployment of the code. Here this is the location of your wlst.sh script, which is inside your, this is the middleware home, or you can say Oracle home, then Oracle common bin. This is my admin server IP address and admin server port. This is my admin server username and password. This is the name of the application that I want. This is the name of the var file. This is the cluster name, right? So here we are going to deploy to cluster. So this argument is going to pass to this particular deploy.py file. Okay, and this is the name of the file that is going to be called, or you can say the script that is going to be called for this WLST. So that means we are using the WLST and a py Python script, okay, for the deployment. And this is the trigger which is defined GitHub push, which that means which is going to take the code from the Jenkins. Okay, and it is automatically going to push the code. And the stages you can see here, the first is checkout SCM. That means it is going to check out the code from the central repository, and it is going to build the code. You can see this is the same command that we have used initially for building the code. Then it will initiate the ambient testing. It will initiate the testing automatically, and testing will be the same whatever you have defined in your code. You may have a multiple testing scenarios automated and defined in your code. So all those tests will be get executed based on whatever your logic that you have defined in your code. So what is doing here? It is automatically, this pipeline automatically taking the code, doing the checkout of the code from the GitHub. It is automatically going to build the file, and then it is automatically going to test all the scenarios that you have defined in your code. And then after successful testing, it is going to deploy it in your WebLogic server. So this is the pipeline which is the, you can say the complete CI/CD pipeline, end-to-end CI/CD pipeline, where we have a continuous integration, continuous deployment by check out the code from central repository, building the code, testing the code. Okay, so here we have a single test. You can have a multiple tests are there, could be there based on the different kind of a testing scenarios that you have automated in your course based on your business applications and requirement, right? So now we have these two files created. So we need to push these two files to our GitHub repository. For that you need to run this command. You need to add command because you have added two files. So you need to add git add. Then you need to commit after adding. Okay, so you can see that files are committed, and then you need to run the git push. So once you are going to run the git push, again it is going to ask you for the username and password. So for that, again what you need to do, you need to take the username from here and specify it Password, we have already generated the token. So this is our token. Let me take it from here. Okay, so now you can see the file has been pushed. So let me go back here. Let me show you. Let me refresh this screen. Okay, now you can see the Jenkins files and deploy file are here. That means the code has been pushed from server to this particular GitHub repository. Correct? So now that means in a nutshell, we have now the code is ready with us, and this is the script, pipeline script that is ready with us. So now we need to create this pipeline from the Jenkins console. Okay, and if we compare it with the second number of session where we have directly deployed the code where the var file was already built and placed in our server, from that location we have pulled the file and deployed. Now what we are doing here, we are going to pull the content from the GitHub repository, right? So that means in your pipeline you have to define the GitHub repository URL, this one. Okay, so in our case this is the demo repo. Okay, so you can replace this with your repository name. So once you create the new pipeline, okay, you have to create the pipeline script from SCM, and your SCM will be the Git source code manager. Okay, so let me go to a console and let me show you. So this is a screen. You can click on the new item, and once you click on the new item, you have to create the job and you have to create the pipeline job. So here you can give any name to it. For example, you can give the deploy to WebLogic. Deploy to WebLogic. Okay, and here you select the pipeline and then click on OK. Now here you can give any description here, deploy to WebLogic. Okay, scroll down here. Okay, so here you have to select the pipeline script from SCM. So in the previous session we have selected the pipeline script and we have copy pasted the complete script here, right? If you remember. And what we are doing now, we are going to check out the code from the GitHub repository. So we have to select the second option, which is pipeline script from SCM. So as soon as you select it, okay, you will get this option SCM. So SCM, we have the Git. Select the Git here. Okay, and here you can see repository. So you have to give the repository here. So we have to give our repository, right, where we have our code. So this is the complete repository where we have our code. So you can give the complete URL here. Okay, and then you can see here this is the branch specifier. So branch, what we have the main branch. If you remember, let me show you again. This is the main branch that we have in the Git. Okay, so here again what you have to do, you have to change this master to main. Okay, and once it is done, you can click on save. So now you can see this particular pipeline is ready. Okay, and now second is I will skip this one, webhook, because this is required for the automation checkout, which we are going to cover in next session, right? And let me scroll down. So we have configured the pipeline. Okay, so now the last thing, we have to configure the credentials, right? Because to log into our WebLogic for the deployment, your Jenkins need your admin username and password, which we have not specified anywhere so far, correct? So now for that we need to store the credentials in the Jenkins. Okay, so for that you need to go to your Jenkins and go to the dashboard. Now click on manage Jenkins. Now here you have to go scroll up and down and then click on credentials. So here you will see the option. Here you can click on the system or you can click on the global. Okay, you can see one credentials is already added there previously. Okay, so let me tell you the process for that one, how to add. So here you can see that this is the credential that has been already added. Okay, so let me show you this, which one is added, which is the global credentials unrestricted. So you can see here, this is the ID that has been created. Okay, and this is the username and password that we have specified in this particular credential that we have created. If you click on this one, it will show you the details. To add a credential, you can just click on add credentials and you can add your credentials. So this is the screen which is showing showing you the existing already added your credentials. Okay, you can click on update, you can click on delete, or you can do whatever you want to do with this particular credentials. And as I said, if you are adding a new credentials, then you can click on the add credentials option and you can just specify the username, password and name for the credentials. So this is the way. Okay, this is the username and password is concealed because this password already saved. Okay, and then this is the ID, and then click on save. Your credentials will be added here in the global credential score. So your Jenkins will automatically take the username and password from here for the authentication. Okay, so now we have done all these things. Okay, so again pushing the code is not required because this is for the next exercise where your code will automatically get triggered. So now we have completed all the integrations. Okay, everything is in place now. So we need to run our code, or we need to build our this particular pipeline which we have added, okay, to deploy the code. So let me now go to console. So here let me show you first the logs of some existing jobs. So this is existing. Let me show you the job, the logs of console output of this one, and then we'll go for the execution. Okay, there is no build job. So what I will do, I will just execute this job. Okay, and I will show you the execution which is going to do the same thing. So here once you click on your particular pipeline that you have created, so you will see an option build now. You can click from here as well. Click on build now. Okay, you can say build is scheduled, and once the build is scheduled, it will listed here. You can say this build is getting executed. So click here on the job which is getting executed inside the build section. Okay, it is going to open your console for the job. Now you can see the job is in progress. Okay, if you would like to see the output, you can click on console output. Now you can see it is success. The job has been executed successfully. Now click on the console output if you would like to see the logs, and in between let me go to the console, WebLogic console, and let me see if the application is deployed or not. Now you can see that application is deployed here, right, in your WebLogic. And how it is deployed, this code was pulled by your Jenkins from the GitHub repository. After that, it automatically build the code, then test the scenarios what we have defined in the script, pipeline script, and after that it generated the deployment var file, and then it deployed it to our cluster. And now you see here the target is cluster, right, which is deployed to our cluster. So this is our console output of the logs. You can see whatever the sequential step that has been followed during the execution of the particular pipeline. Okay, it connected to our GitHub repository to get the code from there. It checked out the code. After check out the code, it has built with the help of Maven. Okay, and after testing, it runs certain tests. You can see this is the test section. This is the build section. Okay, so here it will show you all the test scenarios that you have defined in your code. So this, you can see this is a basic test file that we have created. If you remember, let me go back and show you the code here. So here you can say this is a basic test scenario we have created. So this was executed here, right, inside the test section. Similarly, if you have defined multiple tests in your code, okay, so every test is going to be executed here, and the result you can see here in the output as well. So you can easily troubleshoot. For example, you have multiple tests are there, your build is getting failed. You can see which test is getting failed, okay, by going to this particular section. And then you can see the code file has been created after the test is successful. It is connected to the demo cluster, right, and then it executed your script for the deployment, and then later it was success, right. So this is the end-to-end execution of your Jenkins job for deployment, specifically using the tool. So now what you have learned here, specifically in the DevOps, if you really wanted to be a master of DevOps, and you have to learn multiple things, not only a single thing. So you can see here, if we left the code part, because code will be the part of the developers, but once the code is checked into your GitHub, you maybe need the some expertise on the GitHub. You may need the expertise on the Jenkins, and how to write the different kind of a pipelines, what are the different options are available for deployment. Like in previous session we have deployed using the script, here we have deployed using the SCM where the code was checked out from the GitHub. Okay, so you need some kind of expertise in the Jenkins, and specifically in WebLogic you need certain kind of expertise in writing the Python scripts as well for WLST, because we have deployed the code using the WLST script using a Python script, right. So hope you have a very good understanding of DevOps, CI/CD, the complete end-to-end flow of your code deployment, and then what are the prerequisites if you really wanted to be an expert of all these DevOps automation tools, okay, for your organization. Thank you.